Have you seen the reality TV shows that promote a bullshit restaurant pricing strategy that has been setting our industry up for failure? You know the one, shows like The Prophet with Marcus Lemonis. Like, I used to like that show a lot, and I haven't seen it on TV in a long time. I think it's years old, so you got to be old like me to know it. Well, I watched several episodes where he told restaurant owners they needed to mark their food up by 3 times, and he's not the only expert on TV that's done that. And look, I get it. Marcus is one smart dude. I got nothing against him, and I'll tell you, I've learned some things. He is one smart dude. And I also understand that the common show viewer doesn't need to know the ins and outs of pricing properly, and that they need to make it this condensed little piece of advice that they can consume it and kind of generally understand where it needs to be. The problem is too many restaurant owners have followed this outdated profit-killing practice. Hey there, Restaurant Pro. This is Dave Scott Peters, restaurant expert, coach, and creator of the Restaurant Prosperity Formula. And I want to talk to you about why a 3-time markup doesn't work and give you the truth about menu pricing. Maybe you've been living under a rock and you've not heard the 3 times markup pricing strategy. So if you have, that's where you take the total cost of what you put on the plate, of the product you put on the plate, and you multiply it by 3 times, right? Number times 3. But you've probably heard it another way, where so-called restaurant experts, well, they've gone on stage at trade shows, online in videos and webinars, written them in articles where they're quoting the National Restaurant Association saying that the average restaurant, a study they did a number of years ago, that the average restaurant, full service for that matter, should be running a 34% food cost. And espousing that from stage that your food cost should be 34%. And it couldn't be any farther from the truth. There are 2 problems with this pricing strategy. And they are, number 1, your restaurant isn't average. Are you on the same street corner with the same price point, same style of service, same quality of product? Same labor cost? Same set of core values? The answer is no. So an average would include a pizzeria with a seafood restaurant. How could they possibly both be shooting for a 34% food cost? And number 2, if you priced everything at a 34% food cost, there are items that you'd never be able to sell because they'd be too expensive. Your customers would never buy them. And add to that, because your labor costs are so high, you might need to be shooting for a 24% food cost in order for you to make money because, again, labor is so high. So I'm going to give you 5 steps you need to take in order to price your menu properly and put yourself in place where you can make money. Step number 1 starts with a budget. Budget. I'm going to tell you outright that budgeting is critical to your success. How will you know where your food cost should be if you don't have a budget? Because now you've got to understand a concept called prime cost, which is total cost of goods sold plus total labor costs, including taxes, benefits, insurance. Where your target needs to be based on your restaurant. For me, it's 55% or lower if you do at least $850,000 a year in sales, under that 60%. But getting there can be very different. I could run a higher cost of goods sold, lower labor cost, vice versa, or dead on the same. But the truth is, without a budget, without seeing your numbers, you don't know where you need to be. So setting your food cost target to understand what you need to do in order for you to make money starts with a budget. Step number 2, having accurate, up-to-date recipe costing cards is critical. I often tell people the 2 most important systems any restaurant should have are budgets and recipe costing cards. You'll never guess what the 2 systems most restaurants never have. Why? Because they're too hard. Are you freaking kidding me? You're in the toughest business I know. And as the leader of your business, you must know this data. You must have a plan for success. You must know what you're selling, what it costs you in order to charge properly for it. It's critical. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put a plug-in for a software company that I send all my members to. If you are looking for recipe costing card software to handle much more ordering and inventory and heck, even bill pay, you want to look up marginedge.com/DSP. I get no kickback, no nothing, but by going to marginedge.com/DSP for David Scott Peters, you're going to get my guy, Bruce, and he is a real restaurant pro. That way you don't talk to the 20-year-old who's reading a script. This guy has been in the trenches for 30 plus years and has crushed it. Make sure you give him a call. Step number 3, combined with your product mix, your recipe cost cards with your product mix from your POS system, the most expensive cash register, right? This big thing that you don't use. Well, it's probably the most critical piece of equipment you will ever buy in your restaurant because the data in it. By pulling what your customers actually purchase with your accurate up-to-date recipe costing cards, what you sell items for, we can calculate what's called your ideal food cost. No waste, no theft, no spoilage, perfect restaurant, which does not exist. But based on what your customers actually purchase, what should your food cost be? Now, we put that into a spreadsheet that I've created called Menu Profitability Monitor. It gives you your ideal cost. And what it's based on is what's called a weighted average, nasty mathematical term. It allows us to sell anchor appetizers out of a box, frozen into a fryer at a 38% food cost because we don't sell many of them and we charge a lot for them. But because we sell the living hell out of our hand-cut French fries, fresh-cut French fries for that matter, at a 5% cost of goods sold, we can afford to sell items at a much higher cost of goods sold and look at things like cash contribution and so on. The best way to describe that is when I do this from stage at my seminar, my restaurant transformation seminar, which you can learn about by going to my site, davidscottpeters.com, and clicking up at the top, you'll see where my live seminars are. Next one's coming up May 17th and 18th in 2003, depending on when you're watching this video. With that said, as we go through this process, I look at it and say, okay, you've got a 2-item menu. One menu item has a 1% food cost and the other one has a 99% food cost. In a calendar month, you sell 100 items. You sell 99 of them at 1% and 1 at 99%. What's your food cost? 1%. The next month, you sell the same menus, same costs, but instead you sell 99 items at a 99% food cost and 1 at a 1% food cost. What's your food cost? 99%. Do you understand? That the only way to know where your food cost is right now is to have accurate, up-to-date recipe costing cards tied in with your product mix. That's going to tell you your restaurant's food cost, not some national average, some bullshit number pulled out of the air. And from there, we can make change. Because step 4 is you're going to decide where I'm going to price. And in doing so, you've got to make one fundamental decision. Am I going to undercut my competition and be the dive bar? I do not recommend this. Are you going to price like every one of your competitors? That's a possibility. Or is your service better? Is your product better? Are you that much better than everybody else so you're going to charge more because your experience is worth it? And after you make that decision, we get to step 5, where we can re-engineer your menu by sorting your menu profitability monitor in descending order from the items I sell the most of to the least. And then from that point in time, I can decide that I'm going to raise the price of my top 1, 2, 3 items in each one of my sections. I'm going to drop losers. I'm going to add new items. I'm going to decrease costs by buying smarter or decreasing portion sizes. I'm going to add, again, new items to the menu and move my mix around, decide what items I'm going to put pictures on, what I'm going to box to influence what my customers actually purchase, changing the mix. And by doing so, I can actually scientifically re-engineer a menu to give me the food cost target I need. Remember, part of that may be losing some items and bringing in some lower cost items that are high perceived value, high ring at the register to bring my food cost down to the target you need. And the only way to get there is to have a what? A budget. The reality is, in order to price your menu profitably, you must have a budget and accurate, up-to-date recipe costing cards. That is clear. And this, my friends, is the one major reason you'll hear me say the 2 most important systems any restaurant should have are budgets and recipe costing cards. Be sure to join me live every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, travel schedule permitting, where I'll get you pumped about the upcoming weekend, get you excited about crushing your goals and finding the motivation to be best you possible. Plus, I'll answer your burning questions live.